Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. It is my honor and privilege to welcome my friend Gary Stewart today. Gary is another financial coach, but he's also the CEO and founder of Stewart Solutions. And Gary is a CPA. He helps his clients navigate through complex financial problems, taxes, building a financial plan, achieving those short and long-term goals, and also managing small businesses. Gary at Stewart Solutions is definitely your first step to a better future. And I can personally attest to that. So Gary, how are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me. I'm super
Yes,
excited to be here.
absolutely. Lovely to have you. I know we booked this a long time ago, and I am very excited to hear about the dumb things that Gary has done with money. So before we get to that, Gary, tell me about Stewart Solutions. Tell me about all the financial services you offer and how you help people specifically.
Yeah, so obviously it's not that fancy of a name. My last name's Stewart, so CPAs generally aren't very creative people. Uh, so I came up with Stewart Solutions, and that's how I got started with that. But yeah, I'm a CPA. That basically just means, I passed the hard test, right? But being book smart, does that really give you the knowledge you need to help other people and serve your clients well? And that's where my own personal experiences, I lean on those a lot. Look, this money stuff is tough. Um, it's common sense to build wealth, but you need a plan and a strategy to really move forward. And that's what I take great pride in helping my clients put frameworks in place, whether it's dealing with taxes, personal finances, small businesses. A lot of people are just struggling today, and having that peace of mind and a framework that you can put into action that's easy to follow and you get results. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, especially regarding money's going to do what money's going to do, right? Emergency situations are going to pop up. The car is going to be in perfect condition. You're going to have maintained the oil and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to drive through a construction site and all four of your tires are going to be burst. Right. So it's not whether we can control the uncontrollable, right? It's having somebody like you who can help us set up the framework. Okay, this is what we're going to do if, right? This is what we're going to do when, as Dave Ramsey always says, it's going to rain. Get an umbrella.
Yeah.
I want to ask more about your work with small businesses. What do you specifically enjoy the most about working with small businesses and helping those owners?
A lot of small businesses, I think it's like 7 out of 10 small businesses fail in the first 5 years. And it's not because they don't try hard or they don't have a good product. It's, it's just a tough business to be in when you're a small business owner. And I immediately always focus on like 2 to 3 things right away. Obviously, taxes is a big one, right? How can you get the most, bang for your buck and reduce your taxes? But it's also could be as simple as, what does your cash management framework look like? And are you just bleeding cash, right? Like, so a lot of maybe some people have or have not heard of it, but Profit First is a great resource. I personally use it in my business, and I immediately saw a shift when I was looking through my financials, right? So, being the nerdy CPA that I am, looking at income statements and cash flow management and your balance sheet, right? But really pinpointing how every dollar of your business is coming in and going out, and making sure that you're being a lean, mean cash flow machine is really imperative. So that's always the first thing, when I assess the financial health of a business, where is their money coming from and where's it going?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Profit First is a very popular model that I feel like a lot of people haven't heard of still. So I'm really glad you brought that up because it is very, very powerful. I think the book is right back there.
Yeah, I have it.
It's
yeah,
right somewhere around there of the 12 or so, but there you go, 12 or so books that I keep and I will not be giving up anytime soon. So those are the ones that have a permanent place on the bookshelf.
I bought Money Bunnies by the same author for my daughter. So it's the Profit First framework, but it teaches little kids how to manage their money, which is great.
Stop it.
Instilling that in like a 3, 4, 5 year old.
What?
Yeah, it's called Money Bunnies. I wasn't planning on doing a plug for Mike McCallitz. He's doing well on his own, but yeah, I bought it for her for Christmas, so I won't show her this video until after Christmas.
No,
so.
you're right. Santa's going to bring it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so yeah, I hope not that I don't want any of my clients watching the video, but everyone with kids, he just ruined your Christmas present because I am going to go find this thing as soon as this is over. I had no idea he'd written a children's book. That's awesome. So, Gary, I created this show specifically to find smart, nerdy money people like you who have done something dumb with money. So, Gary, what is the dumbest thing you've ever done with money?
I don't know if this show's long enough to cover them all, but we'll go with probably the most dumbest thing, right? Is God, how many years ago was it? Probably like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe. I bought my dog with a credit card because I couldn't afford to buy it otherwise. So that was probably the single most dumb thing I've done with money. But really, the kicker to that isn't that I bought the dog with the credit card, right? Why I think that is the dumbest thing I've done with money is because that really mentally, like psychology, behavior, that's all. Building wealth is like 80%, all that stuff, right? Like you don't need to have a PhD in finance to build wealth. But what I recognize looking back on that is my mindset was just totally not where it should have been at that point in my life. And that snowballed into just a ton of other bad decisions where I was kind of just like asleep at the wheel and I didn't know what I was doing was not okay. So,
Okay. So
the
now
use of credit
I've got to get a
cards.
little specific. What kind of dog was it?
Well, she's amazing. She was a rescue dog. She's a boxer shepherd mix. Her name's Stella.
Nice. And I totally failed to prepare you for this, but after we're done, I'm going to ask you to send me a picture. I'm going to put it in the comments below because everyone's going to have to see this dog. So the rescue dog, we still have the dog, obviously.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too long ago. I don't think you're going to be the first person in the world to say that they put a dog on a credit card. What do you think was a contributing factor in your mind or just a lack of a factor in your mind when you use the credit card to purchase the dog? What do you think was going on specifically?
I think one of the whole consumerism thing, right? Like I want it now. I'm not going to wait and save up to buy it. Because dog, they're not cheap, right? I don't remember how much it was, maybe $400 or $500, right? When by the time you buy the dog and the food and the crate and maybe even more, who knows? But the shots, right?
Oh yeah.
So it adds up quickly. But instead of having like a well thought out plan and creating mini milestones and save up and buy, the dog the right way, it was one of those things like, I think Dave says this, like adults create a plan and follow it. Children do what feels good. And looking back, I was just doing what felt good. And I wanted the dog. I want it now. This is easy. I'm going to go this route. But I did that with a lot of things, right? And, fast forward a few years later after the dog, I get married. We merge our finances. And then we look down, and between the two of us, we have $218,000 just in credit card debt. Oof. Because we did what felt right and didn't have a plan, and it just led to living beyond our means. And it's easy to say, let's go on this vacation. We'll get some airline miles, and
we'll get some airline miles, and we'll pay it off later.
We'll pay it off later. That was like, my kryptonite, right? Like I couldn't use credit cards well, not that I think anybody really can. You spend like probably over 80% more when you use a credit card than if you use a debit card.
Oh yeah.
And certainly cash, right? Because that when you spend cash, cold hard cash, it just feels different.
Definitely. I'll be honest though, Dave, Dave Ramsey, who Gary and I, that's how we know each other through the Dave Ramsey program. Dave cites those studies that McDonald's did back in the day. I mean, guys, Gary might be a few years younger than me, but I'm old enough to remember when McDonald's didn't take credit cards. And you couldn't use a credit card at McDonald's. And they did a study, and people, I can't remember the exact number, but people spent double-digit percentages more when they were allowed to use their credit card on whatever they were ordering. So Dave's example always was, if you had cash, okay, I'll have 2 burgers off the dollar menu, nothing to drink. But if you have your credit card in your hand, I'll have the number 7 supersized with the apple pie, and I'll pay for the guy next to me. And it's just this psychological aspect of, this is a credit card. It doesn't represent dollars in the bank account when it really does. And it doesn't feel like those dollars, right?
Well, think about the exchange, right? From a psychology standpoint, you're in line, right? You pull out your I don't know, Chase Freedom card, which is kind of ironic because you probably don't have freedom, but you pull out the Chase Freedom card, you buy $100 pair of pants, right? They give you the pants, and then they give you your credit card back. So in your head, there's no exchange happening.
There's no loss.
But when you hand them $100 bill or your debit card, that's real money, there's an exchange happening, and psychology in your brain, it's like, getting punched in the stomach because you feel that exchange. You're like, oh, I actually just paid for something. But for some, whatever reason with a credit card, it's not the same effect.
Yeah. I'm starting to see that the comparison used to be card or cash, right? Unfortunately, we're starting to enter a cashless society. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to use a credit card for everything. So for example, my husband went to a lower level hockey game. Yes, Laura, Laura said spending other people's money, credit card, is always easier than spending my own cash. Very good, Laura. So true. My husband went to a farm team hockey game recently, and he brought cash with him for, beers and a hot dog and whatever. And he texts me and he goes, "It's cashless." And I was like, well, we just freaking pulled this money out and you got the cash on you, and now it's coming out of the checking account because you're not allowed to use cash in that particular building. It's cashless. So he used the debit card. That's fine. And we deposited the cash back, whatever. But it's something that we're going to have to really grasp and grapple with. So the debit card has to now feel different than the credit card. Whereas before it was the cash feeling different than the plastic. Now it's the debit card has to feel different than the credit card. How do you advise your clients having this experience with consumer debt? How do you advise your clients when you get someone who hands you, their financial snapshot and they've got $200,000 in consumer debt?
From a limiting credit card usage, or just how to even tackle it?
Yeah, how to limit it, how to take it down a notch.
Well, I always encourage people to just go at their own pace, right? Like, I have some clients that come to me and they're like cutting up their credit cards, throwing in fire, like they're like ready to roll and like make some serious changes. And then I have other clients that have like almost like it's kind of weird, right? Like they have like a sentimental attachment to their credit card. Like, I was like, well, how do you feel about not using it anymore? It's like, well, I've had it since I was 18. It's really like, I'm like, what has it done for you? Like, why do you feel so loyal to it? But so I have people on both different spectrums where, some people are just ready to be done with it and they're sick of having it around, right? And then I have other people that you kind of gotta take it a little slower with. So the first thing I always try to just gauge, like mentally, where is the client at, right? Because I don't want to push somebody out of their comfort zone too fast and then they give up and then they don't make the transformation, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. Mm-hmm. So I always gauge like where's their mindset at, and I can usually tell in the first like 30 minutes where they're at. But then once you get past that and you got to read on them, generally after the first, 3 months, they make the shift and
Mm.
they put them behind them. So I try to, barter with the people that are a little more sentimental with their credit cards and just be like, all right, well, look, you made the investment in the program. Why don't you try something different, right? If you keep trying the same thing over and over again, you're not going to see different results. So let's try something new.
Sure.
So, budgeting is a big piece of that. Setting the boundaries is a big piece. A lot of people get external influences, whether it's from friends, family, even your own spouse. So, setting up clear boundaries is key. And then making that shift from, believe it or not, like 0% of millionaires use credit cards to build their wealth. And if
Right.
that's your goal is to become wealthy, why are you doing what wealthy people don't do?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And then
What?
the snowball, getting
Oh
them
yeah.
quick wins. So they may be on the fence about the credit cards thing, right? So okay, you're bleeding out. Like, how do you stop the bleeding? Well, don't use the credit cards. So
Yes.
that's the first barter that I make is let's let's take 1 month, put them in a rubber band and put them away in the safe or sock drawer or whatever, and let's not use them for 1 month and see what happens.
Hmm.
And over that month, they start budgeting. Maybe they pay 1 or 2 credit cards off, and they see success, what success looks like, and
Right.
then next thing you know, they're going debit all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges I have with clients who are emotionally attached to their credit cards or truly believe that they're making an impact on their generational wealth with a credit card is some of the auto pay stuff, having their cell phone bill on the credit card, having their Netflix on the credit card. And so what I try to do in the beginning is, okay, what is going here that is recurring every single month? And you can usually figure that out by either the second or third session, right? We okay, this is hit twice. Now we see it. All right, so let's move that
Also,
stuff off of the credit card. What's that?
how also as a coach, like how annoying is that, right? When you're like trying to, someone has like 8 different credit cards and like 10 different bills are going all 8, and then you're trying to figure everything out.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it is overwhelming. It is overwhelming. If it's so overwhelming that the person you're explaining it to, it starts to get like deer in headlights, then you probably don't know what's going on either. Like if I'm
Yeah.
sitting there like, I lost track of how many credit cards you have. Can we start over? That might be an indication that you have too many credit cards, my friend.
Well, that was me. Like I
Yeah.
had 28 credit cards.
Wow.
28, and I don't remember how many, miles that ended up equating to, but I can guarantee you I didn't use them all. And it certainly wasn't worth 218,000. But yeah, I had 28 between my wife and I, not just me.
Yeah.
I wasn't a degenerate, jeez. But
14
yeah,
is enough for one person.
yeah,
28 would be overkill.
but it's like, who gives a 21-year-old like a $50,000 credit limit on one credit card? I mean, obviously I maxed it out, right? Because why not? But
So, all
yeah,
right.
it
So
was
then
so
what did
bad.
you guys normally at this point I would ask somebody if you could go back and change it, what would you do? But what did you guys do to get out of it? That's what I want to know this time.
Well, maybe I'll answer both. But no, what we did was, when we got married in, oh God, June of 2015.
Mhm.
Um, our honeymoon phase lasted about 6 months. Like
Okay.
we didn't merge our money right away. We just kept putting it off because I think, at least for me, I don't know, I'd have to ask her, but it's probably true for the both of us. Like we put it off for 6 months, and I think it's because we were both ashamed and didn't
Mm.
we didn't want to merge our money because we didn't want the other person to like judge us, or um, we felt guilty that we were so bad with money, the both of us, that we just put it off. We didn't want to deal with reality.
Yeah.
But me, like, uh, just on like a personal note, I had when we before we merged, I had like severe mental health problems and anxiety around my situation.
Okay.
Just, imagine having all that money sitting over your head every day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good feeling for me. So I finally got to the point where I was like, look, we've been putting this off. Can we just, sit down and like, let's try to get on the same page about how we're going to merge our money. And the first year, like, was not good. It didn't go well. It's tough, right? You take two separate lives, two
Yeah.
different two different people and philosophies, and how you have managed money the previous 25 years of your life, and then you become one, right, in a marriage. So I've had a lot of lessons learned that I now can, help other people transition smoothly in their marriages, or even like, I'm sure I get a few clients. I'm sure you've had a few where, you can use financial coaching as like a premarital counseling.
Oh
So
yeah.
you're kind of ahead of the curve. So when you say I do, you're like, it's good.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think to answer your question, um, getting on the same page. So we talked a lot about like our why and our long-term dreams, right? Like I want to retire early, have a cushy retirement where I have security and freedom to travel the world, be generous with money, help people and causes that I care about, provide obviously a good life for our children, and yeah, just have options, right? Because when you're not financially free, you don't have many options.
Yes.
Um, and
Right.
I'm happy to report that like 2 months ago, we paid off our last debt. So we paid off 658,000 or so over the course of 6 years. So it did work. Maybe the first year didn't go as planned, but I think the key to success in at least our situation was definitely the budgeting, setting those boundaries, and just staying consistent and intentional with our money. So, was it like this all 6 years? No. I think
Right.
everybody who's gone through a financial transformation knows that it's not like that. It was more like this, right? Like
Right.
a lot of peaks and valleys over the course of 6 years, fell off the wagon a few times. But, it doesn't, I always tell my clients, it doesn't matter, um, if you have a bad month and you don't hit your goal one month, uh, as long as you get back and try better the next month and don't give up.
I mean, I have nothing else to say except what Beverly just said. That is such a great example for your clients because that's exactly how it is. It is not this hockey stick of, oh, we screwed it up and then whew, we get to pay off all this debt, all this. Well, no,
Yeah.
it goes like this. It is a roller coaster, but it's such a great story and a great example for your clients because it's not just that you did it and that it can be done, it's that you really truly went through the ringer of doing it yourself. And, Gary, I know you're very talented with the tax side of things and the P&L statements and all that fun stuff. But this is really powerful. And I think this is what, we can take as many training courses as we want as coaches, right? But this is the kind of stuff that makes a good coach a good coach. So I really appreciate you sharing all this stuff with us. You got really deep with us and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and to answer your other question about, what I've done differently,
Oh yeah.
um, I would have avoided credit cards like the plague if I had known what that would have snowballed into, right?
Sure.
Um, Having it just in case when I was in college led to a lifestyle and trying to keep up with other people and make myself project like I was doing better. Um, I wish I would have not bit the bait on that, like 99% of other people, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, everyone's biting the bait. That they're great at marketing. They're really
Don't
good.
take the bait. That's
Yeah.
that's the headline on that, right? Don't take the bait. But yeah, I mean, they're on college campuses. They're, sign up for a credit card, get a free t-shirt, sign up for a credit card, get 100,000 miles. And it just brings you into that vortex that some people never get out of. And we know that, right? From the people that we talk to, some people never get out of it, but you guys did. And it is just absolutely inspiring that you guys did that.
I'm having so much fun, like, doing our budgets now where it's like we don't have to make any more minimum or any more debt payments.
Beautiful.
It's a lot of fun just being like, oh, like, obviously we're beefing up our savings and doing all that, but having some flexibility, right? Some guilt-free fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And the flexibility to do what you want with it that month. If you want to take all of it and put it into your savings and not do anything fun and really buckle down, then you can do that. But if you want to just completely stop and go on a long weekend, you can do that as well too. And like you said, when you're in that kind of debt, you don't have that financial freedom. And financial freedom is one of those stupid platitudes that I hate hearing over and over again. But this is a real true example of having it.
Yeah, and it's been really rewarding helping clients shift their focus, right? They I would say all my clients have been very awesome this year in the sense that they really want to change and get after it. And I've had probably 3 clients this year that got debt free, and then a ton of other clients that like on average are paying off like $5,000 to $15,000 of debt, and they see the light at the tunnel. And
Yeah.
this, it's super rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it all going to get paid off in 1 year? Probably not, unless it's under a certain amount and you make a certain amount. But to end, we're recording this in December of 2021, and to see the goals reached or the extra money paid off, it makes it all worth it. So, Gary, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And, your honesty, sharing your financial blunders. I'm so glad you still have the dog. Send me a picture. We're going to put it in the show comments. And I hope everybody will join me next week for another episode of Lessons Learned, the dumbest thing I've ever done with money. And if you joined us late, I saw a bunch of people jump in late. Make sure to check out the replay on the YouTube channel. Merry Christmas, Gary. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me.